training, he wasn't really on the radar. I mean, one of their top prospects, but he's grabbed a lot of time out in center for the Rockies. Fontenot playing in at third. This is the first ever Major League game for Fontenot at third base. And we're underway. Ball one inside. He's in there with the stiff back for Ramirez. The wind and the 1-0 pitch. That's a strike on the outside corner.
Fowler would be a good guy to keep off the bases. You mentioned the 2 home runs already in the early going this season. He's also a stolen base threat. He had a season of 43 stolen bases back in '06.
Just got a piece of it. And it's a ball and 2 strikes. The official game time temperature 36. And the wind is out of the east at 10. Feels more like 11 to me, but I'll go with the official number. I was talking about the temperature, not the wind speed. Swing and a miss. He was late. 1 out.
Well, that's an early in the game cold weather swing right there from Dexter Fowler. Just a fastball straight down the middle of the plate at the knees. Very stiff, awkward late swing by the youngster.
Here's Ryan Spilborghs playing left, moving over from center to give that extra time to Fowler. So we started about an hour and 12 minutes late. 0-2. The Rockies are third in the West. They won 2 of 3 to start the year in Arizona. Then they lost 2 of 3 at home against the Phillies. They had a golden chance yesterday. They could not hold an early 4-run lead and dropped the 7-5 decision. They had bullpen problems. Manny Corpus and Houston Street gave up late home runs.
And those figure to be their 2 late inning guys all season long. Corpus and Street setting up or closing. Right now it's Street closing with Corpus setting up, but it's open to change.
Did you say there's a street closing in the area?
Well, hopefully we won't see Houston Street in this series, because that would mean the Rockies did not have a lead late.
Just missed. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
I realize it's only been 2 hitters, but it seems like Ted Lilly has better command already than he did in that start down in Houston.
A high fly ball deep to left. Soriano's on the warning track. Now back onto the grass. And he hauls it in.
Hey fans, for a limited time, head to McDonald's for a full meal for under $5. It's called the McDonald's Appetite Stimulus Package. Your choice of one of 4 tasty sandwiches, hot fries, plus an ice cold soft drink. A full meal for under $5. Prices and participation may vary.
Here's Todd Helton. Hard swing, and he fouled it off the hockey mask of the catcher, Coy Hill. Todd Helton has hit just .234, believe it or not, in this ballpark.
It's hard to believe there's any ballparks that Todd Helton hits that low, but certainly something to be said for the Cubs pitching staff and the way they've worked him here at Wrigley Field.
He hits .294 on the road, not like he's bad or anything. Reed Johnson coming over into left center, and he makes a catch, and the Rockies go down 1-2-3. Cubs coming up against Ubaldo Jimenez. It's the Rockies, brought to you by Pepsi. Refresh everything. Some changes because of the day-to-day injuries. Soriano leading off, 4 homers already. Terrio red hot. Kosuke as well, batting .409, second in the league in slugging. Derek Lee trying to get it going, and here's the defense now for the Rockies.
Billboard's in left. Dexter Fowler, the youngster out there in center field, covers a lot of ground. Brad Hopp over in right field. Atkins, Tulowitzki, Baker, and Helton across the infield. Chris Iannetta behind the plate for right-hander Ubaldo Jimenez.
First pitch swinging, not a home run this time, but a foul ball hit by Soriano. Stolen base last night to go along with his home run, and he's now in pretty elite company. 250 homers, 250 steals. Ground ball, base hit into left. 19th player in Major League history. Andre Dawson, Ryan Sandberg, former Cubs, on that particular list.
And that rare combination of power and speed, all those guys, especially early in their respective careers, a threat to take you deep, and if they got a single like Alfonso Soriano did, also a threat to steal a base.
Maybe it'll be a small ball type day, considering the conditions. Ryan Terrio has hit in all 6. He has 11 hits and 5 straight 2-hit games.
Well, Lou hinted at that fact that he might have to play a little bit more small ball, hit and run, bunt and run, start some runners on stolen bases because of the absence of Soto and Bradley and Ramirez in the lineup today.
Soriano running, a swing and a miss by Terrio. Tag applied. They got him. So Chris Iannetta nails Soriano, who's now 2 for 3 on the year.
Looked like a broken hit and run. Soriano got a decent jump over there at first base, but Iannetta with plenty of time. Throw was just a little bit high, but Baker able to go up the ladder, bring the tag down in time for the out at second base.
Might see a few pitches like that too. On a rather sloppy day. Well, if Terrio can continue to hit .550, I think he'll continue to lead the league. It's going to go down as he grounds out to Todd Helton.
You don't think anybody will catch him, huh?
I don't. 2 outs. Here's Kosuke batting third for the very first time in the major leagues. I think he hit third a lot in Japan, but this is the first time in the majors.
He's been swinging the bat like a number 3 hitter in the early going this season, spraying line drives to all fields, showing some power and being a lot more aggressive. And he said he's doing that by design. Last year he was very patient. The word got around the league that this was a guy that rarely attacked early in the count. So he's picked his spots this year. Goes to the plate looking for a specific pitch on that first pitch, and if he gets it, he's rarely missed it.
Speaking of mist, it is lightly raining. Had to vacate. 2-1. It might rain the rest of the day. At this point, we're able to play through it.
And the field is in great shape, all things considered at this point, but as it continues to take water throughout the day, we'll see how the footing is on the mound and around the plate.
Called strike 2. And it's even up. Jimenez 6'4", 200 pounds. 25 years old. Got the old school stirrups on. Shattered bad ground ball to the third baseman Atkins. And he'll throw to Helton, who digs it out. 3-time Gold Glover over there at first base. 0-0 after 1 from Wrigley. Be sure to arrive early. The first 10,000 adults 21 and older will receive a Cubs W banner, compliments of Bud Light. Off day tomorrow. This series will wrap up Wednesday, and then the Cardinals are in for 4 starting Thursday. It's a 9-game homestand. The Reds are in next week. Garrett Atkins, the third baseman, breaks his bat and lines it foul out of play.
Not a good day to get those B's early. First swing of the game for Garrett Atkins, splits that bat lengthwise. His hands are going to be buzzing for a couple of innings. Well, that's the place to be, manning the grill today. Be the only warm place in Wrigleyville.
Cubs starters through the first 6 games rather, 3-0 with a 4.11 earned run average. The relievers 1-2 with a 3.86. But the big difference is the Cubs starters have walked 14 men in 36 innings. The relievers 13 walks in under 19 innings. That's been the big problem over the first week. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Number 2 for Lilly. And he'll face a lefty, Brad Hopp. They have 2 lefties in their lineup, Helton and Hopp.
Change up out over the plate, up a little bit, got the swinging strike. Their lefties have actually swung the bat pretty well against left-handed pitching in the early going this year. The Rockies have already faced 2 left-handed starters in the early going this season. Hopp 2 for 7. Helton was 3 for 7 coming into play today.
Yeah, they won both of those games. 5 of Hopp's 6 hits have been doubles. They give him room in the right center gap. Johnson shaded the other way. It's Jorge De La Rosa.
He's one of their starting pitchers, just getting some work on the side, maybe because of the conditions today. Normally the starting pitcher gets his throwing out of the way before the ball game, but tarps were on the bullpen mounds and home plate areas before the game, so he had to wait till the game actually got started to get his throwing in.
On the left, Bob Apodaca, their pitching coach. Bill sliding toward the outside part of the plate. And a liner's caught by Aaron Miles. The only guy on the infield who's taller than 6 feet is the first baseman, Derek Lee. But Aaron Miles showing some good hops.
Don't try to hit it over his head. Look at that vertical leap right there. Yeah, with Fontenot, Miles, and Terrio on the infield, that's about as small a threesome as you'll ever see. You can see Derek Lee in the foreground there trying to help Aaron Miles go up the ladder a little bit. That's kind of a common reaction for guys when one of their teammates needs to jump for a line drive. Everybody jumps just to help it.
Troy Tulowitzki coming off a tough injury-plagued sophomore season after that fantastic season the year before. And I think, Bob, we could say that about the Rockies in general. They finished 14 games under 500 last year following that incredible finish all the way to the World Series in 07. But Tulowitzki has already hit 3 home runs. Lilly with that slow wind-up, fouled back, 2-2.
And that's a key pitch for Ted Lilly, trying to cut that fastball inside to the right-handed hitters. Throughout the spring training season down in Arizona and the first start of the regular season, he just hasn't been able to run that fastball in as hard as he would like. A lot of them stray out over the plate.
Working from the third base side of the pitching rubber. Bill goes over to block what ends up being ball 3. Full count on Tulowitzki. Jeff Baker, the second baseman, will bat if Tulowitzki reaches. We were delayed by an hour and 12 minutes before the start of this one. And on the hands, we'll do it again. Probably won't see Carlos Marmol today. He had to work in all 3 games in Milwaukee. Cubs got in around 1 o'clock this morning. No batting practice on the field. Even if it were a 70-degree day, the Cubs would not have hit because of their late arrival. Called strike 3. Tulowitzki thought it was ball 4. That's 3 strikeouts and 6 straight sent down by Ted Lilly to start the game. Well, Andy Fletcher has the only opinion that matters. Nothing. Underway in the last of the second. Derek Lee trying to get it going. He's 2 for 25. Does have 4 RBIs, including 2 last night. He didn't have a hit. How about the Cubs last night? 10 walks. 4 with the bases loaded in the 4th inning. They had 8 runs on 5 hits in their 8-5 win over the Brewers.
Ken Maka probably slept about as well last night as Lou Piniella did the night before. Boy, there's nothing like your bullpen coming in and issuing 3 passes that makes a manager's night really tough.
3-1 on Lee. Mike Fontenot's on deck. Then Reed Johnson, the defensive hero, with a game-tying a grand slam saving catch. Lee takes the walk. Cubs fans, don't forget to visit the WGN Sports Game Zone at WGNTV.com. Brought to you by The Great Escape. For up-to-the-minute stats and information designed to give you everything you need to know during the game. WGN Sports Game Zone is available for every Cubs game. It's brought to you by The Great Escape. Pools, patio sets, play sets, hot tubs, and more.
Hot tub. That'll work right about now.
That bounced up there. Mike Fontenot made a diving play in that ball game to retire J.J. Hardy and save a run after it took a little too long to throw to first with Prince Fielder running. Slide step, and the pitch is low. 2-0.
Yeah, Ubaldo Jimenez fastball will sit anywhere between 90 and 98 on a given day, depending on how he's feeling and the conditions. But when he uses that slide step, he loses a lot of velocity on that heater. Now, granted, it's something that pitchers in the major leagues need to do to break up their rhythm to home plate, give that runner a different look. But in Jimenez's case, it really takes off his fastball.
His first major league start, his second major league appearance, was here on October 1st of '06. Got a no decision. Went into the 7th. Gave up 4 runs, 3 were earned. The pitch missed again. So he's been behind the first 2 batters, 3-1 on Fontenot. There's Johnson on deck. Called strike, 3-2. About 41,000 umpires didn't like that call, including the home team's manager. Medium lead by Lee. There he goes. Ball 4. He's walked the first 2. So the Cubs continue to show excellent patience.
Boy, it's such a great combination, Len. We talked about it all summer last year. You've got a powerful lineup like the Cubs feature on a daily basis. Maybe not so much today because a couple of guys are missing. But if those guys also are willing to take pitches that are not in the strike zone, force that opposing pitcher to throw a boatload of pitches early in the ball game, it's just going to mean good things later on.
Big round of applause for Reed Johnson. Climbed up the wall to take away a grand slam from Prince Fielder that would have tied the game with great sportsmanship shown by Fielder as he tipped his cap to Johnson. And Reed then later got on base. He got hit by a pitch right in the middle of the back. And he told Fielder, he said, "You probably don't want to hear this, but that's the first time I've ever done that."
That ball was hit high in the air. That was one good thing. It gave Reed Johnson plenty of time to get back there, time his leap perfectly, well over the fence, stealing that grand slam away from Prince Fielder. And as you mentioned, Fielder tipped his helmet. I think he really wanted to throw his helmet at Reed Johnson, but tipped his helmet.
Ryan Dempster's been on the mound for both highlight reel catches by Johnson, the one in Washington last year and the bigger one, the more important one last night. Ryan got the win, 6 innings, 4 runs. And that was his first decision of the season. The last time Ryan was here was at the Winter Classic. Half swing strike, 1-2. Ryan's pumped up for the Blackhawks postseason run. They'll take on the Calgary Flames. Good chance here for the Cubs, and you want to take advantage of it on a day like this. You never know if we're going to finish 9 innings. Just reaches out and doinks that one out into center. A resourceful swing by Reed Johnson. That had a terrible sound off the bat. And the bases are loaded.
Boy, every hitter will tell you love to get knocks like these. He got fooled a little bit by a slider off the plate. Just kind of flipped the bat out there. One-handed, as you said, made a terrible sound. But that's a thing of beauty right there. Little sand wedge over second base into shallow center field. Bases loaded.
For former Rocky Aaron Miles, who gets his first start. He's 3 for 5 against Jimenez. And what's going on here? The first base umpire and the crew chief, Tim McClellan, maybe telling Jimenez, "You're doing something that you can't do."
Not sure what that was all about. I mean, the pitchers were both alerted before the game started that they were allowed to blow in their hands on this chilly day here at Wrigley Field, but apparently Tim McClellan noticed something that he wanted to correct before the game proceeded any further.
Fouled back by Miles.
The Rockies are willing to concede a run here with the possibility of turning a double play, playing their infield back all the way around with the exception of Atkins at third base.
Inside 1-1. Sometimes you bring a team in here and we talk about the weather advantage the home team has. Well, the Rockies played on a really cold day yesterday, and it can get pretty cold in Denver. We know that. And the Cubs just got here. They haven't played a game with this type of weather all year. They were in Arizona. It wasn't awful in New York. And then the domes in Houston and Milwaukee.
Well, even though you know as a Cubs player you're going to have days like this early in the season, until you actually step out of that clubhouse and come up the tunnel to the dugout and step out onto the field and feel that cold lake breeze blowing in your face, there's really no way to prepare for it.
Foul tip on the swing, 2-2. The Cubs had the best home record in the National League last year, 55-26. Most Wrigley Field wins since 1935. Jimenez in a jam, bases loaded, no outs. The kick and the 2-2 to Miles. He popped it up. And Atkins will make the catch in foul territory. It's a huge first out. And now he faces the 8-hitter, Coy Hill. If he can get him, it'll be the pitcher, Ted Lilly. So this is a key at bat for the Cubs.
Our highlight package that we showed you earlier from the Brewers series, Coy Hill with a 2-run home run to left center field in the second game of that series. You see the pitch count getting up there for Jimenez already. I don't think we're going to see any action to right field today. That wind is howling straight in, flags blowing from right toward the third baseline. You may get a little boost if you hit something down the left field line.
Coy ended up with the game-winning RBI last night with a bases-loaded walk. Was in the fourth. First of 4 walks with the bases loaded. Jammed in that time. Great to be back with our WGN Sports home crew, battling the elements. Called by the home plate umpire. Hi, Pawsey. Go pause back. Jim Tianis. Yeah. Good block by Iannetta.
Yeah, I said there's no way the players can adequately prepare for opening day when it's like this, or the broadcasters for that matter. But those camera guys, I'm telling you what, some of the hardiest workers in America. Way to go, guys.
Mike Gentile. Frank D'Amato.
Short straw, huh, Frankie?
2-1 to Hill. Good eye, 3-1. What you love about Cub fans at Wrigley Field. Frigid day in April. It is opening day, but we're in the second inning and they're up. Strike 2. Sound the same Wednesday or Thursday or next Tuesday against the Reds. They're always up for a big situation. The 3-2 on the way. Ball 4. He's forced in a run. That was the Cubs' MO last night against Jeff Suppan. And they get their first run without having to swing the bat. I'll tell you, Coy Hill has been terrific at the plate. I mean, he came in at 235, but the big home run, anything he gives you offensively with Soto out is gravy, and he's given the Cubs a lot of gravy. Bob, it sounds like Soto will probably be back in the lineup on Wednesday. He pinch hit in the 9th inning last night. In terms of Milton Bradley and Aramis Ramirez, I think the off day tomorrow's coming at a really good time for the Cubs.
Take a look at that ball 4 from our Southwest Sky Cam. Ubaldo Jimenez really struggling with this command early. Runs a fastball up and into Coy Hill, and the Cubs are on the board.
Better. Three walks and a bloop single in the inning. And here's Ted Lilly trying to help his own cause. Just doesn't want to hit into a double play. I will not force you to dissect or analyze that first swing.
I'm just surprised he's swinging at all, given the command problems that Ubaldo Jimenez is having out there on the mound. You know, other than Carlos Zambrano, I think every pitcher on this staff ought to take till they get a strike. And I was talking to Ted Lilly in Houston about that. I said, you know, you're a good low ball hitter. I mean, compared to swinging at something above the belt, you're better swinging at something below the belt. He carries his hands so low when the ball is delivered that I really think a pitch down around the knees is his best chance of getting a hit. Well, maybe not.
1-2.
I love to talk hitting with pitchers because they actually think they know what they're talking about.
I think the key to this at bat is that Alfonso Soriano gets a chance to hit in this inning, and he's on deck. And he will.
Given the alternative of putting the ball in play weakly and having a double play turn, that was a good at bat for Ted Lilly. You feel like you're going to hit it with double play, strike out.
He singled in the first and then was caught stealing. He's driven in 7 already, and he has 3 runners on base with 2 outs. Here we go. Ground ball foul past the third base coach, Mike Quade.
I think Alfonso Soriano is going to see a lot of first pitch breaking balls, given his aggressiveness at the plate and the success he's had already in the early going this season, attacking that first pitch. I don't think too many teams are going to be willing to lay a fastball in there.
Jimenez with a 1-1. That's low, 2-1. Three times in his career, he's hit the ball out of the park with the bases loaded. 2-1, he got under it. And Todd Helton will not have room. Tell you, hit one high enough here, you're going to lose it in the fog.
Yeah, Helton was off by 1 section there. He went over to the tarp in foul territory down that first baseline, and the wind blew that ball all the way back behind the Rockies dugout.
Mike Clay, the winter and rain gear on. 2-2 to Soriano, a swing and a miss to end the inning. Well, they got 1, could have had more. It's 1-0 after 2.
Brought to you by Bud Light. The difference is drinkability.
Go-ahead RBI on a bases-loaded walk for Coy Hill. 2 games in a row for him.
It's going to be a busy day for the grounds crew today. Guys, we're out with that absorbent material on the mound, spreading it around. We talked about it earlier. Really, the 2 areas you're concerned the most with are the pitcher's mound and the home plate area. As long as you can keep the footing good in those 2 locations, everything else should be okay.
The turf is all new. They resodded everything after the Winter Classic. I was chatting with Rick Fuse, a scoreboard operator and a member of the grounds crew. Field looks great. It's just good to see some green grass in the Chicago area.
It's a good thing it's not the old infield grass at Wrigley Field, because we'd lose our infielders. Fontenot, and Aaron Miles, they used to let that infield grass grow up to about your knees, and those guys would disappear.
Here's Jeff Baker, third starting second baseman they've had. Ian Stewart, Clint Barmas, and now Jeff Baker. Barmas has gotten most of the time. Baker played most of his games at second last season. He had never played that position before in the majors prior to 2008.
Baker had himself a real good offensive spring, hit .345 with a couple of home runs, drove in 8 down in the Cactus League.
At the knees, 2-2.
Probably shouldn't even point out spring training numbers anymore now that we're a week into the season, but sometimes you wonder how a guy earned his spot on the roster. Those spring training numbers certainly would explain it for Jeff Baker.
Ted Lilly with 17 wins last year, 92 in the major leagues. 33 now as a Cub. Kosuke in his pretty familiar position from last year. What a route that was.
Oh, goodness. All's well that ends well. Talk about surrounding a fly ball. Kosuke came in, then he went to his left, then he went back, then he went to his right. 1, 2, cha-cha-cha. 3, 4, cha-cha-cha.
Well, eventually it'll be Milton Bradley to navigate the wind and the other weather conditions and the nooks and crannies out there in right. Outside ball 1 to Chris Iannetta. Changeup was low. 2 balls, no strikes. Checked his swing and it missed. 3-0. You were telling me about this. I didn't get a chance to get into the dugout, but
they took out the old water fountain that used to be in the Cubs dugout on that third base side and put in a fountain over there.
The players have to sign a waiver that they won't take a bat to that particular item.
I give that machine till June 9th. That's my over-under date.
Ball 4, and that will be the first Rockies runner. And there's the jug. You'd rather have a guy take it out in a plastic Gatorade jug. Hey, Cub fans, don't forget to check out our WGN Baseball blog on WGNTV.com. Click on the sports link. Look for Len and Bob's Baseball blog. On the blog today, Bob has a post on the just completed series in Milwaukee. We'll have a list of the 7th inning stretch singers as Jimenez bunts. Diving attempt by Lilly. Came up short, but the throw to Miles is in time. A heads-up play by Ryan Theriot as Fontenot had come in from third And Terrio saw that Iannetta might take off for an extra base. It'll be a sacrifice for the pitcher.
Nice effort there by Ted Lilly trying to snare that bunt in the air. But an even nicer play to keep his wits about him when he didn't make the catch. Kind of rolled over the baseball, gets to it quickly with the bare hand and throws on for the force out. And you mentioned Terrio rotating around. That's just a case of field awareness. You have to know where your teammates are on a given play, what they're likely to do. And realize when there's a vacancy created that somebody's got to cover up. Ted Lilly got a sleeve full of water as he dove on the infield for that bunt.
He faces Fowler. I mean, the burgers look good, but the fire looks better. The heaters are working in the booth. That's the good news. Well, we started at 36 degrees today. One strike on the switch hitting Dexter Fowler. Off the inside corner. There's Iannetta at second. First base runner for the Rockies. Fowler, a 14th round pick in 2004 from Atlanta, Georgia. Open stance from the right side. It's upstairs 2-1.
Now, Fowler probably would have been a much higher draft pick, but he had signed a letter of intent to go to the University of Miami and play baseball, and I think it scared some teams off of him, but the Rockies were willing to take a chance with their 14th round pick, and here he is in the big leagues.
Way late on that swing. Giovanni Soto likely available as a pinch hitter. Chatting with Joey Gathright and David Patton, who obviously didn't get a lot of sleep. And Fowler, going back to spring training, got off to a really bad start, like 3 for 20 with 10 punch outs, but then really got it going in the spring. But he swings and misses as Ted Lilly picks up his 4th strikeout. And the Cubs lead midway in the third, 1-0. Nothing. And as the Cubs will bat in the bottom of the third, Terrio, Fukudome, and Lee due up. They sent 7 to the plate in the second against Ubaldo Jimenez. Jason Marquis, the former Cub, will take the ball for the Rockies on Wednesday. Rich Harden for the Cubs. And at this point, looks like Sean Marshall will get his start on Thursday after a couple of relief outings on the road trip. That'll be against St. Louis. Terrio didn't pull the bat back in time. Strike one.
That's a good day to try to bunt for a base hit. The steady mist that's falling here at Wrigley Field has to make that grass awfully wet. If you can get that ball to roll down that third baseline in the grass for any amount of time, that's going to be a tough play for the third baseman.
Fortunately, our pitch speed gun got wet and has been rendered inoperable. That one was fast.
94.
1-2. That one almost hit our home plate microphone. And is working quickly. Foul tip, strike 3. Comes Fukudome, who's been a lot more aggressive than he knows the league after his rookie season. Seen him jump on some early pitches. Called strike.
Yeah, given his history last year and the patience that he showed at the plate, I think it's a good idea to come out being aggressive and swinging at early strikes. The key is, when do you make the adjustment once again? We talk about adjustments in the game of baseball all the time, but if you're an aggressive hitter early in the season, swinging a lot of first and second pitches, the word gets around. So at some point, maybe you go to the plate and start to tell yourself, I'm going to take a strike, I'm going to try to work a deeper count. And then about the time the teams start challenging you again, you turn it around and become aggressive. The key is always to stay one step ahead of your opponent. When they make the adjustment, you're already ready for it.
There are buildings back there, believe us. Let me tell you, 3-2 on Kosuke. Somewhere off in the distance, our podcast studios are still being touched up.
But the finishing work just never ends.
The economy.
Well, and as technology changes, some of the stuff became outdated before we even had the chance to move in and use it. So we want to make sure we're as cutting edge as possible.
Ball 4. There's the patient approach from Kosuke to draw the 4th Cubs walk. Derek Lee with 1 out and a runner on. Double milestones today for the White Sox in Detroit. Back-to-back homers from Jermaine Dye and Paul Konerko, each hitting their 300th home run. How about that?
Something.
They lead Detroit 10-6 in the 9th. Called strike. Well, it's been a struggle for the Houston Astros. They have 1 win in their first 6, and they're down 6-0 at Pittsburgh in the 8th. The 0-6 Nationals trailing at home against the Phillies 4-2 in the bottom of the 4th. Driven to the gap for Derek Lee. We'll see if Fukudome can score. Bangs off the door. And Mike Quaddy's going to hold up Kosuke at third as the Rockies get it back in quickly. That's a double for Lee. His second extra base hit of the year. He's reached twice today. You know, early in his career, he was a very cold April batter. And Cubs fans were on him in 2004 when he got traded here. But the last few years, he's been really good in April.
Really good to see Derek Lee pulling that ball to the gap in left center field. A lot of his base hits early in the season last year came the opposite way. This time he just buggy whips that ball into the gap. Unfortunately, the Rockies got a pretty good carom off the wall out there in left center field, and Mike Quaddy had no choice but to throw up the stop sign for Fukudome at third.
For Derek, it's his 126th career start in the cleanup spot. He's there because Ramirez and Bradley are both out of the lineup. This would be a really nice win if you can get it without those two guys and your all-star catcher. 3 all-stars from last year all out of the lineup. Swing and a miss, 1-1. Inside corner. Great shot from the top of the scoreboard and center. Second and third, 1 out. The 1-2 to Fontenot is blocked by Iannetta. He's had a good day defensively. Caught stealing and a couple of nice blocks.
I'll tell you, when Ubaldo Jimenez is off of his game, as he is today, you've got to be a very active catcher back there behind the plate. He throws his fastball extremely hard. You've got to be able to react from one side of the plate to the other. This time a splitter that hit well out in front of home plate over near the right-handed batter's box. And Iannetta does a great job of shifting over there and blocking that ball.
Another 3-ball count, 3-2. Jimenez threw 35 pitches in the second innings, piling him up here in the third. He strikes out Fontenot. So 2 outs. It's up to Reed Johnson. That's a big out for Jimenez.
Came with the 3-2 slider, the same pitch that he got Ryan Theriot to start this inning. It's like Carlos Marno. It looks like, at least for today, when Jimenez feels he needs to throw a strike, the slider is his go-to pitch.
Johnson poked a blooper into center off the end of the bat for a hit his first time up. Brian Dembski said he's going to buy him some Culvers for those 2 great catches.
Maybe later this summer, huh?
Maybe one of those big custard Oreo sandwiches we had in spring training. Tastes good no matter how cold it is. Fouled off, 0-2.
A 2-strike count. If you're the runner at third base, you really have to be on your toes here. We've seen Jimenez a little scatter-armed with his command today. He likes to go to that split finger when he's ahead in the count. Be aware of a ball in the dirt.
He's up around 70 pitches already. The kick and the 0-2, 1-2. He and Aaron Cook last year became the first 2 Rockies right-handers to win at least 10 games with a sub-4 ERA. Jimenez was at .399 last season. In 34 starts, 4 out shy of 200 innings. Another block by Iannetta, 2-2.
And the reason Jimenez was able to keep that ERA under 4 was the fact that he pitched so good at home last year. 7-4 with a .331 ERA, pitching at altitude in Colorado. 5-8 with a .472 on the road.
He has been a lot better at home. Johnson gets hit for the second straight game. That one I think hurt a little more than last night. We got a hit right on the number by Jorge Julio.
Looked like I caught him on the triceps area of the left arm, just above the elbow. He wears that protective guard on the elbow. Looked like that one caught him a little bit above it.
He gets hit a lot.
And he's made a slight adjustment in his stance at the plate. We talked about it last year. He moved off the plate a few more inches than he normally used to stand. He used to hang right over that inside corner and get hit quite often.
From 03 to 08, hit 92 times. Third in the majors behind Jason Kendall and Jason Giambi. So it's Miles batting again with the bases loaded. Aaron fouled out to third base with the bases loaded, no outs in the last inning. A 1-0 is inside. 2 balls, no strikes. Take at least 1, if not 2, here for Aaron Miles.
The take 2 would seem to make the most sense given the struggles of Jimenez out there on the mound, and the fact if you run the count to full with 2 outs and the bases loaded, the runners are going to be on the move as the pitch is delivered, a chance to clear the bases with an extra base hit.
Fly ball left field. Spilborgh's over. Foul territory, makes a catch as he runs into the padding. Tough start for Aaron Miles. He's left 6 on base. It's 1-0 Cubs after 3.
sponsored by Comcast. These fans have been sitting out here in the mist and the cold since 11 o'clock this morning. I've been waiting 6 months. What's a little bit of rain? Chicago Cubs baseball in high definition is sponsored by Comcast.
It's either dirt or a bunch of ants who have taken a nap. Look at that. Spilborghs, Helton, Atkins. And the first pitch is on the outside corner. Todd Helton in the on-deck circle. He tries to sneak as close to home plate as the umpire will allow him. There is an on-deck circle, but he's a good 7 or 8 feet away from it.
He's been warned to get back closer to the on-deck circle in the past. Like you said, Len, he'll try to sneak over there, especially behind the catcher and the umpire, to try to get an angle on that pitcher and more closely observe his release point, try to see if he can pick anything up from Ted Lilly.
He's getting closer. Every time he takes a swing, which is a little closer. 2-2 on Spilborghs. He has 5 doubles. They lead the league in runs early on. Fly ball deep to left. Soriano's on the track. And the out recorded. Best hit ball we've seen by a Rocky. It's a long fly out. Plan your next corporate function or family gathering in the comfort of the Wrigley Field Mezzanine Suites, presented by Nuveen Investments. Suites are available now for games during the season. Be sure to ask about the April and May incentives. To book your suite or for more information, visit cubs.com/suites or call 773-404-CUBS.
Ooh,
nice
a
curve.
knee buckler, yeah. Ball starts right at Todd Helton's head, drops right over the inside part of the plate.
0-2. Todd Helton had back surgery just after the season. Just 83 games last year. Only 2 games after July 2nd because of the lower back strain. He has first ballot Hall of Fame numbers. Pitch count for Lilly, not bad. Just over 50 here in the 4th. Popped him up.
Stay with it.
Oh man, that was interesting. It's caught by Fontenot. I thought Aaron Miles might catch that ball over on the other side of the infield.
It was headed that direction, but as that pop-up got to its apex, that wind really started to push it toward the third baseline. And keep your feet moving as an infielder or an outfielder on balls hit in the air today.
Two outs. It's Atkins, the third baseman, struck out swinging to start the second. Todd Helton is one of 5 players to have a .325 batting average, a .400 on base percentage, and a .570 slugging percentage. The other 4 guys: Gehrig, Ruth, Williams, and Pujols.
Ooh.
But here's the question: 5 years after Todd Helton retires, is he a shoe-in, or does somebody look at it and go, yeah, but half his games were in Colorado? Well, we showed you the numbers. He's hit over .290 on the road. Not like he's been terrible.
I don't know how you can penalize a player for playing in a city that's in the major leagues. It's not like he chose to go to Colorado and refused to play anywhere else. That's just the luck of the draw.
If I had a vote, and I don't, he'd be a first ballot guy for me. And 3 Gold Gloves defensively. Right center. Fukudome calls off Johnson, who slides behind him just in case. And that's the inning. Ted Lilly's given up 1 base runner. That was a 1-out walk in the 3rd, and the Cubs lead 1-0. Mail at WGN Cubs TV at AOL.com. Coy Hill with a bases loaded walk to provide the only run to this point. As we play the last of the fourth, he taps it foul to Matt Sinatra, the first base coach. Yes, I have my, it's not mine. It's our executive producer, Bob Borwell. It's Masters towel. I think it's clean. I know it's dry. Checking the computer today.
That's the one Kenny Perry cried on yesterday.
You watched every shot, didn't you?
Man, let me tell you something. I got a real nice high-def TV at home for the first time in my life, and I was mesmerized by that golf course.
Coy Hill with a base hit. We want to send happy birthday wishes to a lifelong Cub fan living on the south side of Blue Island, Illinois, turning 90 today, Dan Signor. Happy 90th to Dan. We also welcome new Cubs fan Evan Kyler Marshall, born in Dodge City, Kansas today. To Cassie and Philip Marshall, all watching the game on WGN. And our best wishes to longtime Cubs fan Scott Taxer, who never misses an opening day, but today on the mend and watching from the hospital. Get better soon, Scott. Get back here to Wrigley soon. It's a bunt situation for the pitcher, Ted Lilly. Corner men weigh in, and he takes it for ball one.
Also like to extend happy anniversary wishes to my in-laws, Jack and Janet Muskimmons, back in Coshocton, Ohio. Tomorrow we'll be celebrating their 58th wedding anniversary. Raised 5 beautiful children, one of which I stole away from.
2-0. Ted has shown a much better eye at the plate trying to lay down a bunt than in the swinging away situation with the bases loaded his last time up. Corner man again. That's a strike. 2-1. Atkins and Helton end up about 30 feet from home plate. And that pitch hits the mitt.
Well, you mentioned Helton's 3 Gold Gloves over there at first base. And for my money, he's the most aggressive first baseman in the game today. He reminds me of Keith Hernandez, former Met, former Cardinal, the way he plays that position defensively.
Well, now it changes things. I mean, Ted's probably going to try to do it again, but there are 2 strikes. He was really hoping to get that call on his side. He squares and takes it high. 3-2.
Different personnel. You might see the runner at first on the move here and let Ted Lilly go ahead and swing away at the full count pitch, but I think he's still bunting. I think Coy Hill's just going to hold his ground.
And he walks. So Ted squared the bunt 6 times and he didn't offer it any of them. And it paid off. It's 15 walks for the Cubs and 3 hit batters the last 2 games. Well, that's huge, Bob. I mean, they have 4 hits. They had only 5 last night, but they scored 8 runs. Get those free base runners.
All right. Obviously, getting runners on base helps you score runs, and in those times of the season where your offense is not clicking the way you would like it, if you're still getting guys on base and opening some holes in the defense, creating opportunities, you can still score some runs even though you're not swinging the bats as well as you'd like.
Former Cub Glendon Rush in a rush to get out to the bullpen, and he's up quickly. Two on, no outs. Top of the order. Ooh. Tough strike, 1-1 on Soriano.
You might as well take that pitch because if you swing at it, nothing good is going to happen. That's a fastball, bottom of the kneecaps, edge of the outside corner.
foul pop out of play. And the reason Rush is up, two reasons. Number one, Jimenez is not throwing strikes, but number two, he's over 90 pitches now. And we're only in the fourth. It's not a good ratio of strikes to balls. Almost 1-to-1. Swing and a miss. And Soriano is retired. Terrio will come up. Jimenez has made some big pitches today when he's had to. Some big strikeouts.
Just a teaser slider off of that outside corner. He's had so much trouble getting ahead in the count to the Cubs hitters, but when he does get ahead in the count, he's got a couple of different put-away pitches. That hard slider low and away from the righty, and the splitter down low to the lefties.
Quiet start for Terrio. At least for him, 0 for 2. Came in leading the league in average and on base percentage. His average has gone down 50 points.
Fortunate foul ball right there. Chris Iannetta was winding up for a pickoff attempt at first base. Todd Helton had snuck in behind Ted Lilly. First base coach Matt Sinatra was all over it, though. Alerted Lilly that Helton was coming behind him, and Ontario fouled the ball out of play. No damage done. You know, Len, people like to blame the first base coach every time somebody gets out at first base on a pickoff attempt or whatever the case may be, but the reality is the only time a first base coach really needs to help that runner is in a situation like this where the first baseman's playing behind. Obviously, the runner doesn't have eyes in the back of his head, so that first base coach has to position himself such that he can see whether that first baseman breaks in behind, and he'll warn the runner. Everything else is in front of the base runner. That's all his responsibility. If the base runner at first is picked off by the pitcher or the catcher in a situation where they're holding him on the bag, it's the base runner's fault. It's not the first base coach's fault.
Cubs have had a lot of runners the last 3 innings. Floater missed to make it 2-2. See Kosuke through the condensation and the haze here at Wrigley. Bounced foul. And again, those conditions have taken our pitch speed gun out of commission.
Come over to my apartment today. We'll watch the game from my top floor window. Oh, no, you won't.
You'll watch it on WGN Sports. Out back.
Well, it may be a cold, wet day here in Wrigleyville, but it certainly didn't dampen the fans' enthusiasm this morning. As you well know, Len, we got here very early, and the streets were buzzing this morning.
Hit hard, but Tulowitzki will flip to Baker, and a throw gets by Helton, and the Cubs will get a run. It's 2-0 as Coy Hill scores on what should have been a double play.
Boy, a very casual turn out there at second base by Jeff Baker. Ball was hit relatively hard right to Tulowitzki on a hop. He looked like he had all the time in the world. Just kind of lollipopped that ball in the dirt to Helton, who's normally very sure-handed on those short hops, but couldn't come up with it this time. The Cubs push across another run. That may have been the wet dirt over there at first base. That ball did not come up as much as Helton thought it was going to.
The error will go on Baker, allowing the run to score. It's a fielder's choice for Terrio. And it's 2-0. A big break for the Cubs. It looked like Jimenez was going to escape again. Theriot getting dirty. Fukudome at the plate, 2 outs. Well, there, a balk called. Tim McClellan calls a balk on Jimenez, who just about picked off Theriot at first, but now we know why.
We'll have the advantage of the replay here. Yeah, the front knee, the left knee for Jimenez buckled first. That's usually an indicator to a runner that you can go ahead and take your secondary lead or break for second base. And the sneaky pitchers, the guys that can do it, you buckle that front knee just a split second before you step off the rubber, and sometimes you catch that base runner leaning the wrong way, but it's a balk.
Let's check in on who's moving forward with Toyota. Kosuke Fukudome is moving forward. Had an excellent road trip. 9 hits and 19 at bats, tied his career high on Wednesday in Houston. It's today's Toyota moving forward thanks to Toyota. 0-1 to Kosuke. 1 ball, 1 strike. Fukudome and Theriot. Soriano piling up the hits early on. Mike Fontenot off to an excellent start as well. Three and one. Kosuke came into today 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts against Jimenez. He's 0 for 1, but he did walk his last time up, and he's in a hitter's count here. There's a Ramos with the stiff back. This is not the sort of day you want to test him. Ball 4. He's walked another, his 6th free pass. Clint Hurdle's out, and with Derek Lee, a right-handed hitter, coming up, he's still going to go with the lefty, Glendon Rush. So Derek might see a heavy dose of changeups here from the former Cub. As Jimenez is done, Cubs lead 2-0 in the 4th. Seating for up to 200 guests for corporate gatherings, family reunions, and bachelorette parties. Individual and group tickets are available for all games. For more details, go to WrigleyvilleRooftops.com or call 773-248-ROOF. 2 on, 2 down. Glendon Rush against Derek Lee. Fastball caught the outside corner. He throws that four-seamer to set up his changeup. Nice comeback story for Glendon Rush. Suffered a blood clot while he was a member of the Cubs. It was in late 2006. Did not play in 2007. Last year split the year between the Padres and the Rockies. He's been with a lot of different teams. When it's all said and done, I think he'll consider himself a Cub. He loved being a Chicago Cub. In on his hands, still 2 strikes. One of the really good guys in the game of baseball. But it's all business now as his former teammates trying to drive in a couple runs.
Well, they'll like him again in about 3 hours, but right now he's the enemy.
Off the plate inside.
And no secrets to Glendon Rush. He's, as you said, he's been around for a long time. He tries to move that fastball in and up in the zone to give you a different look, and then throw the changeup down low and away.
Looks like Glendon's lost a little weight. Just missed the corner. 2-2.
Eric, a .385 lifetime hitter against Glendon Rush with a couple of home runs. Also 8 strikeouts, however. I think that goes straight to that changeup you were talking about.
Time called. Derek had something in his eye. Barely got the call from the home plate umpire, Andy Fletcher.
That's another thing we know about Glendon Rush. He works extremely fast.
A kick and the 2-2 hit foul. Cubs have all the hits in this game, 4 of them. They've also taken 6 walks. Out into right center, and it's going to get down, and the Cubs are going to get another run. The throw's going to come into second as Terrio scores. Derek Lee 2 for 2. His 5th RBI. It's 3-zip. And remember, this inning continued on a throwing error on what should have been an inning double play.
And that was the changeup down low and away. That's just to protect swing in a 2-strike count. Derek hit it off the end of the bat, but dunked it perfectly into right center field to plate another run.
It was Baker who committed the error, allowing Coy Hill to score and keep that inning alive for Fukudome, who walked and knocked Jimenez out of the game. Fukudome ended up at third on that base hit. And Rush faces Mike Fontenot. Ball 1. Make him pay. Those are the 3 words you hear when a team commits an error like the one we've seen this half inning. Right back to Rush to end the inning. But 2 runs unearned for the Cubs, and they stretch their lead to 3 as we head to the 5th. Let me correct myself. They all were earned. Those 2 runs were earned. Ryan Theriot hitting into a fielder's choice because I think it's because you can't assume a double play, even though there was an error. Derek Lee coming up with a big base hit. And that would have scored 2 anyway. So those 3 runs are earned as Tim McClellan, the crew chief, is having a less than friendly discussion with Clint Hurdle, and Clint is gone for the day. He has been tossed out. Now he'll really get his money's worth.
I'm not sure what precipitated that argument over there, but Hurdle went all the way down to the far end of that first base dugout to make sure McClellan can hear him. And then just to make sure he could hear him properly, McClellan came all the way over to the dugout. There was a lot of barking going on down there before the ejection. Oh, brother.
Come on, let's go. You could read Tim McClellan's lips.
And after you've been ejected, the longer you stay out there, the fine just, it's cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. It looked like they each had their say, and then McClellan started to walk away, and Hurdle continued, and that's when he said that'll be about enough.
Was he pointing in his eyes? There was a gesture there by Clint.
Once you get ejected from a ball game, you're expected to leave the playing field and the dugout in a timely fashion. And the longer you stay out there and argue, the more the fine tends to run up.
So Hurdle will have to watch the rest of the game on Clubhouse Television. And Jim Tracy, former big league manager, the bench coach, former Cub, will likely take over the acting managerial duties. It's 2-0 meanwhile, and Brad Hobb make it 2-1. It's a good time to tell the Jim Tracy story. For this Lilly 2-1 pitch, half swing, 2-2. Interesting moment from spring training. You'll appreciate this, Bob. Jim's son Chad, playing for the Rangers, hit a grand slam against the Rockies. Jim called it an unbelievable moment. Apparently Ron Washington called up Chad Tracy from minor league camp because he would have a chance to play in front of his father. Neat moment.
Wow, that was great.
Full count.
Tracy's son was an All-American catcher at Pepperdine University.
Got him. Called strike 3. Rockies are really frustrated right now. Ted Lilly on his game. That's his 5th K. More jawing from that visitor's dugout at Andy Fletcher this time.
There have been some unusual calls, and from our Southwest spy cam, you see Coy Hill sitting on that outside corner. Ted Lilly threads the needle there. In the estimation of the home plate umpire Andy Fletcher. Been some borderline calls, especially on low pitches, both inside and outside.
Do we know who the interim to the interim manager is for the Rockies? They may have to find out. Tracy's not real pleased. 1-1. Hill slides off the inside corner, and it's popped foul. Back to the seats. We started an hour and 12 minutes late. We have played uninterrupted since. Ted Lilly gave up 4 home runs, working with a big early lead in his season debut. A lot sharper today. And as you said right off the top, pitching on what should be his kind of day as a fly ball pitcher.
Still having some trouble consistently getting that fastball inside to the right-handed hitters. The last two pitches both have been fastballs inside that strayed back over the heart of the plate. Fortunately, no damage done.
Well, you should be able to make a mistake or two today, unlike in Houston, especially to a righty. You make a mistake, it's in the Crawford boxes. Full count on Tulowitzki.
I'll tell you, when Ted Lilly has all of his pitches working, he gives hitters so many different looks. He can throw that fastball on both sides of the plate. It has a little more tailing action when it's away from a right-handed hitter. He'll throw that slider to both sides of the plate.
Knocks it down, and he'll get Tulowitzki.
We've seen him mix in just enough of the big overhand curveballs to plant a seed in the Rockies hitters' minds. Got that great straight changeup. Quick trip to the mound by Coy Hill and Ryan Theriot just to make sure their pitcher's okay. Didn't field that ball cleanly, but was able to knock it down and recover in plenty of time to get the out. Sometimes fielding your position doesn't mean making gold glove plays. It just means knocking the ball down, staying with it, and getting the out.
Jeff Baker with 2 outs and nobody on at the knees. Last time Ted Lilly pitched here, he clinched the division against the Cardinals. Four straight wins to finish up the regular season, and then unfortunately did not get into the division series against the Dodgers because the Cubs were swept. You rarely see a starting pitcher in need of a major laundry job on the trousers. Ted left his feet earlier. 2-2.
Well, that's a perfect example of using off-speed pitches to set up your fastball. He had thrown back-to-back changeups in the dirt to run the count to 2-1, and then just came right down the middle of the plate with a fastball that appeared to catch Baker by surprise.
Swing and a miss. He's gone through 5 and has allowed just a walk to Chris Iannetta. And the Cubs lead 3-0 as we go to the bottom of the 5th. Cubs are 4-2, and they lead 3-0 over the Rockies. A couple of changes for the Rockies on defense. As Reed Johnson leads off against Glendon Rush. Seth Smith's now into play left, and that pushes Ryan Spilborghs over to right. So Brad Hopp is out. Took a call third. He'll start the top of the fifth. He didn't get kicked out, did he? I didn't see the thumb.
I don't believe so, but we'll try to find out for sure.
Count even at 2 apiece. High drive, left center. Not going to carry on a day like this. It's Dexter Fowler, center fielder. 1 out. Time to have a ball with our friends at the Illinois Lottery. Got the ballpark ready to go. The weather didn't really cooperate, but Roger Baird and the Cubs grounds crew got this field ready in a hurry after a rain delay of over an hour. A lot of water, but it drained quickly. That's today's Have a Ball, thanks to the Illinois Lottery. Aaron Miles batting righty for the first time, and also batting without the bases loaded for the first time.
Well, the biggest roar of the day we've heard so far was not when the Cubs pushed across their first run or their second or their third for that matter. It's when the grounds crew came out to take the tarp off the field.
Left center for Miles. That'll be his first hit. He's 1 for 3. And it's his first hit of the season. He's 1 for 6 as a Cub. A little slip out there by Fowler.
A little jam shot there. Fastball up and in from Glendon Rush, and Miles fights it off into the gap in left center. There's the slip by Fowler, but quickly got to his feet and held Aaron Miles to a single.
Hill with a bases loaded walk and then a single and a run. Coy got hit by a pitch on the little toe on his right foot in Milwaukee, and they actually cut out part of the shoe to relieve the pressure. Looks like he has a normal shoe today. If you cut it out today, you'd have a wet foot. That's a base hit. Miles jumped over the ball, and he can only get the second after navigating around that hot shot. Hill's 2 for 2.
A slashing swing that time from Coy Hill, brought his hands in close to his body. There you see Aaron Miles had to leap over that line drive, and that held him up just long enough that he wasn't able to advance first to third on that base hit to right field.
Nobody loosening in the Rocky bullpen, but they are getting stretched out. They still have the heavy jackets on, with nobody throwing. Heavy jackets on the rooftops too.
Nobody warming up over there either.
Oh, I think they are in their own special way. And Lilly, rather, Rush will step off. Lilly's squaring the bunt already. Tulowitzki's going to chat with Glendon.
A lot of talk, a lot of signs going on out there in the middle of that Rockies infield. Garrett Atkin comes over from his third base position to flash the signs for the bunt defense that the Rockies will run here.
Bunt goes to third, and Atkins will throw to first to get Lilly. A sacrifice.
Perfectly executed. If you don't see that shortstop breaking for third base, which indicates a wheel play, your job is to bunt the ball hard to the third baseman, make him come in and make the play. Perfectly done that time by Ted Lilly. Yeah, if you see the shortstop break toward third base, that indicates that the wheel play is on and the third baseman is going to be charging. And most teams give the pitcher the option to go ahead and swing away if they see the wheel play, but that time Ted Lilly saw Tulowitzki hold his position in the middle of the field and bunted it perfectly down that third baseline.
They will intentionally walk Alfonso Soriano. He reached a milestone with his first inning single, his 1,400th major league hit. I want to wish a happy birthday today to big Cubs fan, our good friend Mary Claire Borgeli. Also, Cubs want to wish a happy birthday to coordinator of baseball operations for the Cubs, Alex Suarez. Thanks to Mary Claire, Michael Yerke, and House of Blues for all their help with the third annual Len and Bob Bash for Cubs charities. Bud Light and the Cubs, we had a great time in January. Raised a lot of money for charity. Bases loaded for Ryan Theriot. Ball one. 7 walks taken by the Cubs. The last one was intentional. The pitch. 1-1. Infield pop. And Rush is going to have to take this one by himself to end the threat. The Cubs leave him loaded for the third time today, but they lead the ball game behind Ted Lilly, 3-0.
The Cardinals at 7:05. Throughout the game, great prizes will be awarded to lucky fans in random seats. Compliments of 7-Eleven. Oh, thank heaven.
Ted Lilly with the gem through 5. Iannetta the catcher, then a pinch hitter for Rush. It'll be Clint Barmas, followed by the center fielder Dexter Fowler. Here we go in the 6th. Called strike. It's 10 out of 17 first pitch strikes for Lilly. Slow curve. And
there was a pitch.
Iannetta held up.
Ball was all over the strike zone. Big breaking bender. It's going to end up down around the knees, possibly a little below. We'll show you in a moment. That was a case where the pitch not only fooled the hitter, it might have fooled the home plate umpire, Andy Fletcher. Ball crosses the front of the plate above the knees. It's all over the white part of the plate.
Called strike 3.
Low fastball. His location has been so much better today with his heater, with the exception of those couple times he's tried to go in on right-handed hitters and didn't get it quite far enough. But keeping the ball down, keeping the ball on the corners of the plate.
Clint Barmas, who started 5 of the first 6 games at second base, and he comes off the bench in this one. Their former starting shortstop. He's from Vincennes, Indiana. He pulls one high and way out of play. A product of their farm system, a 10th rounder in 2000 out of Indiana State. So he'd be a Sycamore, right? Matt Belisle is up in the Rockies pen. Another pop up. This will be playable, at least for the time being, with the wind, as Fontenot hauls it in. Fowler has not made contact. He's 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts.
And showing a real weakness for the high fastball. A couple of heaters up there above the letters for call, or for swinging strike 3s rather.
He's only 23. Thought about a bunt. Not a bad play. Fontenot's back. I don't think Mike will be back now. He can stay in. Pitcher's strike to make it 1-2.
That backdoor slider. Such a devastating pitch. Ball starts off the plate away, just works its way back to the corner. Coy Hill squares it up right in front of his body to get the call from Andy Fletcher.
Making some noise here at Wrigley Field. In the air to the right, Kosuke drifts over. Now in. Ted Lilly is not allowed to hit through 6. Cubs will try to give him some more run support when we come back. Now today's Honda Accord game summary. Tough day for Ubaldo Jimenez. Really struggled with his command. Clint Hurdle, the Rockies manager, got kicked out in the 5th. Ted Lilly has really been on his game today, and the Cubs have gotten 3 as they bat here in the bottom of the 6th. Visit your Honda dealer. Test drive a 2009 Honda Accord. Matt Belisle, a familiar face to the Cubs as a former Cincinnati Red. Signed a minor league deal in the middle of January, and the contract was selected on Friday, and he pitched against the Phillies. One and one on Kosuke Fukudome. He's walked his last 2 times. And I think he's doing what you talked about, trying to stay ahead with the scouting reports. Really aggressive early on the road trip. Extremely patient today. He has looked at a lot of pitches.
I think I've told the story in the past about a former teammate of mine, a former Cub for that matter, Manny Trio, who was notorious for standing at the plate like a statue to take the first pitch. He never ever swung at the first pitch unless he felt he had a team set up and it was a situation where he could jump on that first fastball and do some damage, and he would hack at that first pitch maybe a half a dozen times all year long.
Leadoff walk. A little more on today's starting pitcher for the Cubs, Ted Lilly.
Boy, he's really had everything working in this game today. Good fastball with a little late life, good changeup, throwing that backdoor slider. We've seen a couple of the big overhand curves, but more than anything else, just the location on his pitch is keeping everything down, 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 unless he wants to go up the ladder and throw that high fastball.
Solid day for D. Lee. A walk and a run, a double, and an RBI single. He's on the interstate. Got out of the zeros. Now he's in the ones.
No longer a secret agent. When your batting average was in the zeros, we used to say you were a secret agent. 091. 074.
Telling me James Bond was not a very good hitter?
Not at all. Just couldn't lay off that slider low and away.
Belisle's 0-2, a fly to right. Spilborghs, who began the day in left, now playing right, makes the catch.
Although for James Bond, what was the dude's name? M, that had all the equipment?
Yeah. Sounds right.
Q, I'm sorry. I knew it was one
Q,
of those letters.
Yeah. Sure.
You know, it has some kind of an electronic eye in the bat and radar detector. When the ball entered the hitting zone, the bat would swing itself. And then it would all explode.
Pause. Belisle steps off to look at Fukudome. Big move. Slight flinch from Kosuke.
We talked about at the top of the show. Lou said he might have to play some small ball with this lineup, but with a 3-run lead, you figure now would be the time maybe to push some buttons. Get some runners in motion over there at first base. Good contact hitter at the plate, Mike Fontenot. Big hole on the right side of the infield. Tried it early in the game when Soriano reached with the leadoff base hit in the bottom half of the first, but then Ryan Theriot swung through a high pitch and Soriano was thrown out at second base. It's been pretty much station to station since then.
Johnson on deck. White Sox did beat Detroit 10-6. Gavin Floyd over Zach Minor and Matt Day in the American League. Pittsburgh pounded out 14 hits in a 7-0 win over Houston. is the Pirates home opener. Phillies 8, Nationals 6 in the last of the 7. That game overshadowed by the death of Harry Callis, a Hall of Fame broadcaster. A bouncing ball and a nice pick by Baker. He'll spin. Helton with the pick and the out.
Couple of nice plays there. Number 1, Baker ranging far to his left to make a play on this ball out in shallow right field, and then Todd Helton couldn't come up with one earlier in the ball game, but picks that one nicely just in time to get Fontenot at first base. You see Mike Fontenot doing the gentlemanly thing right there. He could have run right up Todd Helton's back on that play as Helton stretched out to take that throw. He was right in line with the first baseline, so Fontenot hit the bag and peeled off to the right to avoid a collision.
Runner at second with 2 outs. Dodgers lead the Giants 2-1. Couple of solo shots for LA. Orlando Hudson, Andre Ethier, 2-1 in the bottom of the 4th in LA. Mets will open up Citi Field tonight against the Padres. Strike offering off the corner. Ted trying to stay warm on a very cold day. Temperatures in the mid-30s around the first pitch. Ready for Sut in the 7th. Rick Sutcliffe will handle the stretch today. Looking forward to that.
He was out in the hall between innings practicing. At least I think that's what he's doing.
Ground ball to third. Atkins. Well, now he's going to try to get the tag play. They get Kosuke in a rundown. And the tag is applied by the second baseman Baker. 3-0 Cubs after 6. confines, so it's a lovely day.
When I wake up in the morning, love, and the sunlight hurts my eyes, and something without warning, love, bears heavy on my mind. Then I look at you, and the world's all right with me. Just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day.
Bill Withers, great track. Today's Bud Light Fan Cam, just the right taste that never fills you up. The difference is drinkability. Spilborghs at the plate. The 0-1 pitch bounces up there, 1-1. Jody Davis will join Rick Sutcliffe for the stretch. In perfect harmony.
I bet their harmony as a pitcher and catcher is going to be a lot better than their harmony as singers. I'll just take a wild guess.
Two-one, a strike, 2-2. Johnson will give way. Fukudome, 1 out. There's so many days, Bob, during which you see a fly ball to the outfield in this park and you go, uh-oh. But not today.
That's not going anywhere, especially to right field, right center. Center field, everything getting pushed toward the third base side of the field. Fukudome actually came in on that ball.
Fouled back by Todd Helton. I mean, if a guy hits one out today, you tip your cap.
Yep.
You should do what Prince Fielder did to Reed Johnson.
I mean, I think you can get a little action to left field if you'd have to hit it really good. And once again, if you hit it too close to the foul line, the wind is just going to push it out of play. So it's the kind of day, if you're a pitcher and a catcher, when in doubt, especially against a right-handed hitter, throw it up and out over the plate and just let them see how far they can hit it in the air, because chances are it's not going anywhere today.
Lilly looking to put away Todd Helton. Not easy to do. He has a terrific eye at the plate. Off to a slow start. Came in at 176 and he's 0 for 2. It's Garrett Atkins on deck. Don't have to deal with Matt Holliday anymore. He was traded to the A's in the offseason. They still have some thump. Called strike 3. 2 outs in the 7th.
It's the same slider that he throws to the outside corner to right-handed hitters, but to a lefty, you'd have to call it a front door slider. Starts at the right knee of Todd Helton, breaks it over the inside corner, and just freezes a really good 2-strike hitter.
Low to Atkins, a strikeout and a flyout. The Rockies cleanup hitter. And there's the first hit for the Rockies. It comes with 2 outs in the 7th. A roller in the left. Those are the ones you worry about. Not the fly balls today, but those balls on the ground. And it found a hole. A standing O for Ted Lilly. 3 of his last 5 starts, he has taken a no-hit bid into the 7th.
I really felt today that he had the best stuff of all those starts, Len. I mean, you never really anticipate a no-hitter when Ted Lilly takes the mound, but as this game progressed and he proved that he could hit his spots consistently, was changing speeds well, had everything working, but at least the first one was clean.
I thought they were going to call it an error.
Give Coy Hill an error for calling the pitch.
You know, he'd gladly take it. Seth Smith with his first plate appearance. That missed. Well, now, you know, Ted Lilly was thinking about it. Jody Davis, Rick Sutcliffe. He doesn't want Smith to get on and bring the tying run to the plate. And it's Troy Tulowitzki with a lot of home run power on deck. Fouled back. And the first action in the Cubs pen all day, Angel Guzman, just in case.
Well, sometimes you do get a little concerned, Lynn, when a guy's throwing a no-hitter and suddenly gives up that first one. Sometimes it goes downhill quickly after that. So with that in mind, Lou got Guzman throwing as this at-bat started to Smith.
No report on why the Rockies took Brad Hopp out of the game in the 5th inning, but Smith came in his spot in the lineup to play left, and Spilborghs moved over to right. The 3-2 with a runner going, and ball 4. So the tying run will come up. Things can change so quickly in this game, can't they? It seemed like the Cubs were up 12-0 when it was a no-hitter. And now the Rockies have the tying run at the plate.
It looked very similar to the slider that he struck out Todd Helton with, that front door slider that we talked about, but that time apparently just came around the plate enough to be called a ball.
Always fun to watch Lou. Backpedaling half the way. Hasn't made the call yet.
I don't think Guzman was quite ready. They want to give him a chance to throw a couple more pitches, which is why Lou took his time to get out there, and now he is going to make the call to the pen.
was excellent. The Rockies got their first hit with 2 outs in this inning. Garrett Atkins with a clean single to left. Then Seth Smith drew the walk on the 3-2 pitch. And with a righty Tulowitzki at the plate, Lou goes with Guzman in this spot. Fourth relief appearance for Angel. Here we go. It gets past Coy Hill. Runners are going to move up.
Tulowitzki with a first pitch slider. Just chokes it over there in that left-handed batter's box. Actually threw it right underneath Coy Hill. He didn't quite get the glove down to the dirt to block that ball. Just enough room for it to get underneath to the backstop. That'll go as a wild pitch.
The Rockies have found a way to stay in this game. They have but 1 hit that they're threatening here in the 7th. Called strike. Well, that was a generous call there by Andy Fletcher. Looked like Coy really had to reach off the plate. 1-1. Another one. That one much more in the zone. 1-2. Tapper foul. You saw Tulowitzki's bottom half start to move a little bit, but he kept his hands back and tapped it foul. Jason Grilli up in their pen. One with the short sleeves.
It's that knee buckle bailout swing. I was real good at that one. You get fooled by that breaking ball and you want to dive out of the way, but you realize it's breaking close to the strike zone, so you just take a hack at it.
Soft liner to center. Johnson makes the catch. Time to sing the stretch for the first time this year.
Members of the 1984 Cubs, Rick Sutcliffe and Jody Davis.
All right, Cub fans, let's get loud. Let's do it. A 1, a 2, a 3. Take me out to the ball. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. I don't care if I ever
bid ended in the top of the 7th with 2 outs. But Angel Guzman helped Ted Lilly get out of that jam. And Rick Sutcliffe is with us in the booth. Always great to see you, Sut, along with your former battery mate, Jody Davis.
Well, Jody picked me up again, didn't he?
Well, that's what catchers are for.
Bobby, you saw it. I started the game off with a wild pitch. If Jody didn't come up with it.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Oh, you've made that play a bunch of times. And then he saved me there with that singing.
And I was insisting between innings that he saved you back in 1984, too. That last pitch of the game in Pittsburgh was a little off the corner, but Jody caught it so good.
Miles slaps it on the ground. Atkins at third will throw him out. Last time you guys sang together, Men in Blue, right? Going way back.
Oh, come on, man.
25 years.
I thought we destroyed all of that stuff. You ever do anything that dumb, Bobby?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Every January.
I will tell you this. It was John McDonough's idea, and it raised a ton of money for charities around here in Cubs Care. And so, you do it all again because of that. But, oh, my goodness, man, is that fun?
That's good stuff.
They say, now I don't know, but they say that's where they got the idea the following year for the Super Bowl Shuffle. With, that thing was fun. That thing's still fun to watch. But
Coy Hill with a ground ball to Baker. 2 outs. You're kind of giving us some grief for having the windows out, but you wouldn't have the windows in if you're broadcasting today, would you?
I guarantee you, if I could, I would. This is old school over here, though, man. I mean, you gotta suck it up, right?
That's right. Hey, players are in the cold, fans are in the cold. We should be in the cold.
I got to tell you, I walking to the mound. It was still coming down to begin with. My feet were soaked. I get to the mound, I step on the dirt. After about 3 steps, it's caked on the bottom. I wasn't worried about a wild pitch. I was worried about falling down throwing that first pitch. What a job by Little.
Well, he was fantastic today. And Guzman batting here as he's going to remain in the game in the 8th.
Well, Lou's a little bit short. I'm sure you guys have talked about it. I mean, the bullpen's a little thin. 3 of his starters not able to play today.
And a swing and a miss. Sut, can you hang with us for a couple more minutes?
I can do it.
We've got a heater
Absolutely.
here. I'll turn it on for you. We'll keep you warm.
I want both of them.
Keep you for a couple more. 3-0. Let's go back down memory lane here as we go to break. There was the ceremonial first pitch today. Rick Sutcliffe to Jody Davis.
Pick it. That's a good 2-strike pitch. You know, you want to throw one down there in the dirt and try to get the guy to chase it. That's what it was.
Well, I was trying to show Ted what not to do out there today, man.
Aaron Heilman's going to pitch, so Guzman just taking the at bat because, as you said, Rick, Cubs are short position player wise. So here's Heilman, 1 strike on Jeff Baker. 3-0 Cubs in the 8th. Jody's lost some weight. I tell you, you both look like you did back in that video 25 years ago. And Rick, I know you've dealt with a tough health situation, but you look great. You're feeling good. We saw you earlier, and just glad to see you back. And
Lynn,
are you close to 100%? Because you look it. Good. Good.
And I got to tell you where it all started for me was for Game 1 of the Division Series, being able to come back and throw out the first pitch. Bobby, as I walked to the mound, I was in tears, man. I mean, the ovation and going through chemo and radiation and 3 surgeries. And, I don't know if you guys know, I had an ileostomy bag on me then. And, I don't care. I mean, it's like, you set goals and you want to do some things. And, getting up here to the booth and having Ron Santo give me a thumbs up and Vince Scully, put his hands together and bow. It was it was really the first day where I went, you know what, man, it's all been worth it. So, the one thing I want to get out is early detection. If you're 50, go get a colonoscopy and, do what those doctors say, because it gives you a chance, man.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, you were 51 when you had yours, right?
I was, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I made a mistake. I mean, I didn't think I needed it. I had no signs whatsoever. And my wife forced me to go. And I went and did it, and just, thank the good Lord.
Yeah, there are a lot of forms of cancer that are symptomless. Colon cancer certainly being one of those, and that's why you have to go get that test.
And that's all. It's real simple. I mean, it's the colonoscopy. There's not that much to it, and yet, you can sure save a lot of problems later on down the line.
There's Chris Iannetta with 1 out. Don't want to keep you too long, Sut, but at bottom of the 7th went way too fast. And
guys, it's a pleasure. You hear it all year long. What a big fan I am, and this is going to be a special year here at Wrigley. I mean, last year was there have been some in the past, but this one's just got. There's so many good things about it, Bobby.
Well, there really are. I mean, Lou wanted more balance in his lineup. They got some left-handed bats. Fukudome's off to a great start. I don't know if there's another team in the big leagues that has the depth of rotation that the Cubs have, 1 through 5. Some issues in the bullpen to be ironed out, but that's to be expected with any ball club early in the season until you see how guys fit together. So certainly great reason for optimism.
And I've got to tell you, I've been going to Cubs spring training since 1985. This was the best group of young arms, Lynn, that I have ever seen down there. Jim Hendry has done an amazing job, not only adding to the big league club, but continuing to draft and develop. I mean, the cavalry's coming.
And he's trying to sort out what he has in the bullpen. He's got a lot of new arms, guys who've been in the big leagues before but are new to the Cubs, and he and Larry will get it sorted out. Marmol's throwing the ball really well.
Lou's done that for so long with the Nasty Boys in Cincinnati.
And the guy we showed, Alfonso Soriano, you were on his bandwagon in spring training. You told him he's your MVP pick, and he's already hit 4 big home runs.
How about that? The second pitch of the season, man. He takes Roy Oswald deep. I tell you who told me about him, though, was the hitting coach, Gerald Perry. Right, Lynn, right off the bat, he says, take a look at him. And, Bobby, you know better by far than I would. Gerald said he's got life in his legs again. He went to the Dominican Republic where we have the academy down there. He started working right off the bat. And, Bobby, he's just got a different look to him.
He really does, and it shows in his swing. That ball makes a different noise coming off his bat early in the season this year than it did last year. You know yourself, Sutton, Jody, you get to a point in your career where you kind of just take your off-season workout for granted because you know you're going to get back on the field in spring training. You know the things you have to do, but
you think it'll still be there.
And sometimes it isn't there anymore. And that's when you really have to dedicate yourself to getting your body physically ready to go through the long grind again. And Soriano did that this year.
Guys, I got to tell you, I love being on here with you. It's a blast. I'm a huge fan, but I got to go. I'm getting a little nervous of what's going on here. You guys have got a shutout going. I'm not going to screw this up. I'll be watching you tomorrow. You know that.
You got it. Thanks, Sut.
See you guys. Bobby, thank you.
One of the great pitchers of his era and a fantastic broadcaster, Rick Sutcliffe.
Not that he's superstitious or anything.
No. think he was cold, to be honest. It was just a line. We always enjoy having Sutton on with us. And Lou's going to come out. And this is not a pitching change. This is
not a
one of Lou's chats.
How you feeling?
This is a fireside chat with Lou Piniella.
Mostly fire. I'm guessing.
A walk to Iannetta, and now the pinch hitter Ian Stewart. It's 40 degrees out here, I think he said.
Yeah, something like that. Let's go. Well, in the meantime, Neil Kotz has jumped up and begun to throw once again. Looks like he's going to be joined by right-hander David Patton down in that Cubs bullpen. Aaron Heilman has shown an amazing ability to throw that double play ground ball when he's needed it the most. And after that meeting the mound by Lou, I think now would be a real good time to throw a ground ball.
Missed again, 3-0. Three and one. 40,077. A paid crowd here for the home opener. Many have headed for the exits on this cold and rainy day. Cubs leading 3-0 late. Popped him up on the 3-1. Fontenot catches in foul territory. Well, more sad news in the world of baseball today. Former All-Star pitcher Mark the Bird Fidrich found dead. Apparently an accident at his farm in Massachusetts, just 54 years old. He was the American League Rookie of the Year in 1976, won 19 games for the Detroit Tigers. And that comes on the heels of the passing of Hall of Fame broadcaster Harry Callis. Swing and a miss by Fowler. Swinging left-handed for the first time today. 2 home runs for Fowler this year, 1 from each side. Cornermen in. Now Derek backing up at first base. 0-2 the count. Ball got out of the Rockies bullpen, so time was called. See how cold it is. Two-strike pitch. Swing and a miss. So the visit by Lou resulted in a foul out and a strikeout.
Good meeting.
3-0.
Ted Lilly, too much good stuff. And all of his pitches working well right from the start of this ball game. The conditions certainly didn't hurt anything. He just attacked this Rockies lineup. 6 2/3 innings, gave up only the 1 base hit, struck out 8. Our AM/PM player of the game, Ted Lilly, too much good stuff.
Top of the order against right-hander Ryan Spire. Kevin Gregg is up in the Cubs pen. Did not get the save last night. Gave up a run, but did close out the Brewers. Swing and a miss by Soriano. Conditions haven't changed much since we started. A light drizzle and a lot of wind blowing straight in from the lake. It's outside, 2-2. I am not a hot chocolate drinker, but I will be tonight. Some hot tea before the game. Anything that's warm.
Anything warm.
Fouled back to the upper deck. The off day tomorrow will benefit the injured Cubs. Bradley, Ramirez, Soto, and it'll also benefit the entire team because they just got here early this morning after a long spring training and then the 1-week road trip.
I would imagine some of the newer Cubs are probably still staying at a hotel, even though they're here in Chicago, their home city. They probably haven't had time to find a place to live yet, or if they have found a place to live, maybe not furnishings and dishes and towels and so forth and so on. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of busy ball players on the off day tomorrow.
Aaron Heilman lives in the Chicago area in the offseason. So not a big deal for him. In fact, he was thrilled when he got traded to the Cubs. And he and I think, Bob, just about every reliever, save for maybe Carlos Marmol in this first week plus, they've gotten a heavy dose of Lou. He is not happy with the lack of strike throwing. And I think for Lou, and you know, he wears his heart on his sleeve. It's not about the results. I mean, for the most part, they're getting the job done. 4-2, a chance to go 5-2. But he wants to, as Barney Fife would say, nip it in the bud.
Nip it in the bud.
Nip it, nip it, nip it. Base hit for Soriano.
Oh, what a good at bat by Fonzie right there. Fell behind 0-2, fouled off some tough pitches. Finally got one he could handle and drilled it through that left side of the infield. As you said, for the most part, the bullpen has gotten the job done, Len, but I think it's just the cumulative effect of all those extra pitches that they throw, the situations that you put your defense in, and it's going to take its toll over the course of the season. I think given the number of walks that the bullpen has given up, the Cubs are probably pretty fortunate to be where they are right now, and Lou realizes that. They're making it a lot harder than it has to be.
Well, this is a key time for every guy out there because they're trying to, as Terrio bunts to third, it's picked up by Atkins, and they're going to throw and save. Soriano just got back on a heads-up play by Todd Helton. It's a sacrifice for Terrio, who has gone hitless today for the first time this season. Moves the runner up.
See, Soriano was looking over to third base. Atkins came in to field that bunt, and I think for a moment Soriano had a thought about trying to round second, just keep going to third and try to beat the coverage to the bag. And Helton realized that and snapped that throw behind him over there at second base, but he was able to get back on his belly.
Just to finish my point, this is a critical time for all the relievers because they're trying to show Lou, either one, my spring training was not a fluke, and two, this is what I can do in a pressure situation. They're trying to throw strikes. And the biggest thing, I'm stating the obvious here, but Lou doesn't want to use Carlos Marmol 110 times this season. He has to find somebody else, along with Aaron Heilman, from the right side to get some outs in the middle to late innings. Carlos not even in the bullpen after working in 3 straight games, so sits with the other Carlos as they chop on that gum. That's going to be a base hit for Fukudome. Soriano's going to try to score, and he will, and it's 4-0, and they'll get Kosuke at first base. He gets the RBI single, reaching base for the 4th straight time before he's thrown out.
Nice piece of hitting, just slapping that ball into shallow left field. Soriano got a great jump off second base. They're going to have no chance to throw him out at home. And when that throw comes back into the infield, Kosuke gets caught in no man's land. He was hoping that throw was going to go through to home plate and try to advance into scoring position himself. But as I said, no play on Fonzie at the plate, so the Rockies cut it off and caught Fukudome in no man's land.
Base is clean, 1 strike on D. Lee.
There's the tail end of that play as Fukudome tries to get back in, and Todd Helton blocks the base with his right foot. You can see Kosuke never got to the bag.
You think guys did that when Ty Cobb was sliding back into the bag? Probably not. A lot about that. Feet up with those sharp spikes. I'm sure you've been clipped a few times. Well, you had the shin guards.
Sometimes that didn't even help. Spiked in the knee one time. The heel cleat from the runner at home plate came right in the crease between the shin guards, and you get 4 stitches between innings. That happens. I mean, not nearly as much as it used to. I mean, there used to be players that were notorious for using their cleats as weapons going into bases on stolen bases or trying to stretch a single into a double. And boy, as a defender, you knew who was coming in there and what they were likely to do. And a lot of times guys got a little light in their loafers around the bag. You know, they didn't want to hang in there knowing that they were going to take some contact and that it was probably going to hurt.
A full count on Lee. The pitch. He walked him. That's 9 walks for the Cubs. Along with 10 last night.
What a remarkable change in their offensive approach. I mean, there were a couple of years there, Len, when you and I first started working together, the Cubs wouldn't draw 9 walks in a week.
It all changed last year. I think you could go back a lot longer than that, too.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty impatient offensive club.
Historically.
Yep. Milton Bradley brings a patient approach. Derek Lee will take his walks. Ontario. Kosuke.
Players all around baseball, Len, and a few of them on the Cubs that the book is you don't have to throw them strikes to get them out. That's not the case anymore. I mean, there may be some stretches of the season where guys individually get a little impatient, maybe chase some bad pitches. It's going to happen to every hitter. But as a team, this has become an extremely patient ball club that is going to force you to throw strikes.
Two and two on Fontenot. A run in to make it 4-0. Now Kevin Gregg has one issue, and he has a surgically repaired left knee, and when he sits down it tightens up on him. So generally when he gets up he's going to get in the game, and if he doesn't get in the game, Cubs probably won't get him up more than once. It's flagged down by Baker, and that's the 8th inning. So I think we're going to see Gregg coming up here in the 9th. He'll throw his last warm-up toss. It's 4-0 Cubs. As a visiting player, 4 appearances, 4 saves. No earned runs in 3 2/3 innings. Now pitching for the home team. Ryan Spilborghs hits the first pitch in the air, and Kosuke's coming over. It lands untouched. Foul.
Here's today's Budweiser play of the game in the 4th inning. Derek Lee with Ryan Theriot on board at second base. Shoots one into that right center field gap to drive him home. He also walked and scored in the 2nd inning, doubled in the 3rd, walked again in the 8th inning. Reached for the perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Budweiser, the great American lager. Big day for D. Lee.
Apparently the first baseman allowed to blow on their hands too.
And the announcers.
Got the slider in for a strike. The Rockies still have but one hit. Garrett Atkins single in the 7th. Lilly, Guzman, Heilman have combined for the one-hit shutout to this point. 1 and 2. We thought for a while we might see Bert Hooton Part 2. Real cold, wintry-like conditions. An early April afternoon here at Wrigley. He's back at 72. But Atkins broke up the no-hit bid with 2 outs in the top of the 7th. Two-two pitch. Close but no cigar at 3 and 2. Deep breath by Kevin. And he got him on the outside corner for strike 3. Stay tuned. The WGN News follows our ball game. Mark Sapelsa, Allison Payne, and Tom Skilling with the weather. He was right on with his forecast. And we hope Tom's going to tell us that the rest of the homestand is going to be just fine.
75 and sunny every day.
Well, might be a little greedy.
We'll get to that point sometime this summer.
Be 75 in the lunchroom or in the press box. Greg's 2-0 pitch right down the middle. 2-1 on Todd Helton. Wind still blowing in. Three and 2.
Lou doesn't want to have to make another trip to the mound just to remind Kevin Gregg to throw strikes.
A 1-out walk. The Brewers did get the tying run to the plate in the bottom of the 9th last night. Greg got out of it. Struck out Prince Fielder. Called strike on Atkins. Seth Smith is on deck. Back out of play. The producer of Cubs baseball on WGN Sports is Mark Brady. Our director is Skip Ellison. Doug Stanton, our associate producer. The executive producer of WGN Sports, Bob Vorwald. Thanks to our technical director, Roberto Rios. Paula Oscroba, our stage manager in the booth. Our studio coordinator back at WGN, Debbie Merrill. Great to be back with our entire WGN crew here at Wrigley Field. Still 1 and 2 on Atkins. Been a lot of great pitching performances in terms of starting pitchers here lately. Ted Lilly today. Kyle Loesch with a 3-hit shutout yesterday. Same for Aaron Harang. Josh Johnson went the distance for Florida. Swing and a miss. 2 gone. And they stand here at Wrigley. I want to sing Go Cubs Go. They did it 55 times last year.
If you didn't know the words at the beginning of the season, you certainly did by the end. After singing it 55 times. Lou even learned the words.
Helton's going to take second base without a throw, and I don't think he'll get a stolen base. With a caps out. Ramirez just watching along with Marmol.
This has been the longest game of the spring for Ramos Ramirez, having to sit and watch.
The home opener, no less. Swing and a miss. It's 2-2. Cubs looking to go 5-2 to begin the year. The 2-2 pitch called. Strike 3. Cubs win. All the outs in the ninth were strikeouts. Cue the band. 4-0 the final.